City Librarian Jane Pyper, who has, like me, is a bookmobile graduate, a young child. I noticed that if you read the bio of Jane in the Toronto Star when she assumed her position, there was a great bookmobile story that began. Graduate of the University of Toronto and the University of Western Ontario. She's worked in libraries in Fort McMurray, Alberta, and then North York Public Library, and then in the amalgamated City of Toronto Library, where she was head of policy and planning before being appointed City Librarian. She is also a volunteer leader, having just completed some work on the National Reading Summit, which had its second iteration in Montreal last week. So welcome, Jane.
Thanks, Wendy, for inviting me as well. This is a nice break from budget doing and budget making and budget approving. I kind of pictured this might be like Canada Reads, and we would battle each other about why it's better to work in an archive or a university library or a business environment. And of course, I would emerge victorious, because we all know that public libraries are the heart and soul of librarianship, because they are about connecting people to opportunity, they are about connecting communities to each other, and they are about changing lives. And that's my starting point, which is you should have a passion for what you're doing. It is something that we are looking for at the Toronto Public Library, people that are really engaged in what we are attempting to accomplish collectively. However, in picturing myself emerging victorious and then listening to everyone, I realized that in fact there are a lot of common themes across our field and a lot of shared expectations. So I think much of what I say will be familiar to you. I do want to, a couple of things that I've been thinking when I've been listening to others is that in some ways the interview is the least important part of getting the job. And what people have demonstrated and what you've heard at the panel is that you're already applying for the job. In everything you do and in everything you bring to that interview, you're demonstrating that you have a larger commitment to the profession, that you're willing to engage in other activities, that you're engaging with your own colleagues in this setting, and you're prepared to do that in the next setting, so that it's more than that interview. In fact, my secret belief is that interviews are a bit of a crapshoot. Like, I've had wonderful experiences as a candidate and terrible ones. And I think that's true too for our hires. So I think what you bring to that process is at least as important as that 40 minutes or 2.5 hours or whatever. And the other thing I want to say, because I will turn to some of the same skills that others have talked about, is I'm not focusing on professional skills, but I do have a great respect for professional skills and the skills that are learned in this setting. And these other skills are part and parcel of what you're engaged in now as well. So learning concrete things and learning how to learn are just equally important. So I think we, like many others you've heard from, are looking for people who can build relationships, both internally and externally to the organization. I'm going to give you some concrete examples as I work through this. In our last strategic plan, we identified a renewed focus on seniors. And as we did that, we thought we should be working with community agencies that already have an expertise in serving seniors. So we established those relationships, relying on our librarians to do that. We now have a relationship with an agency that has a particular expertise in serving LGBT seniors, and they've shared that learning with us. So that's been an enormously valuable partnership from our perspective. They also have a wellness initiative for those seniors, and we've been able to contribute computer learning and other cultural opportunities to those seniors, so it's been mutually beneficial. So that ability to build relationships externally to the organization and to see mutual interest is very important to us. We also want to look for people that can work, that can be nimble, and I think you've heard this already, and who want to work in a dynamic environment. We have changing priorities. We just had an election in this city that has completely changed our priorities in some regards, and we have to be able to respond to that. We want people that can respond where not every aspect of an assignment is laid out clearly, and where there is ambiguity, and you can respond positively to that ambiguity. Again, a concrete example of that is that during the 2008 severe economic downturn, we were asked by the city to take part in an initiative to help citizens most in need. And we were asked to do that in about 2 months. And so our librarians and collections, our programming librarians, our outreach librarians all coalesced around that initiative in partnership with other city divisions so that we could make a contribution to help people that were out of work, out of homes, out of opportunity. Like you've already heard from many on the panel, we want librarians who want to keep on learning. And we talked about that as curiosity and openness to learning. When I think about my own job, my first job was as a cataloger, and a fine start it was to public librarianship. And having cataloging skills was tremendously important. As I went to other opportunities in the organization, managing people, managing projects became more important, those sorts of skills. Then as I moved into more senior positions, it became about understanding what community building was and understanding what city building was and how a city works and being able to tell the library story to non-library people. So in my own experience, that openness to learning has been essential. Eventually I got more into public administration in terms of my formal learning to give me that kind of background of city dynamics. So that openness to learning, I think, is critical. At the Toronto Public Library, we are interested in people who have a commitment to diversity. We are a city that serves, obviously, one of the most diverse populations on earth. We pride that as a city. Diversity, our strength, is our motto, and we want to see it as a reality in our workforce and also in a commitment to providing service to diverse audiences and diverse communities across our city. And finally, I guess I would say that we are looking for people, and I think again you've heard this, who are looking for a career and not just a job. And it's hard because you're being interviewed probably for an entry-level position, and of course your first priority should be to demonstrate that you have the skills and ability and interest in that particular job. Because after all, we do want somebody who can do that particular job. But we also want to know that you have an interest in moving on in the organization, in making other contributions beyond what that job contains, in seeing opportunity, and even if it's not with the Toronto Public Library, but you see yourself as part of a continuum of a career, I think is critically important to what we're looking for. So that was short but sweet, but I didn't really want to repeat what I heard, so I think that's it.
Thank you, panelists.